Title: The Chronicles of Eldoria, The Quest for the Lost Kingdom. Chapter 1: The Call to Adventure. In the heart of the vast and ancient continent of Eldoria, nestled between towering mountains and deep, mystical forests, lay the bustling city of Aranthia. It was a city of wonders, where scholars, warriors, and merchants from all corners of the world gathered. The grand spires of the citadel of knowledge pierced the sky, while the sprawling market of wonders buzzed with life. It was here that our story begins, with a young blacksmith named Arinder. Arinder was a man of humble origins, yet his skills with the forge were unmatched in all of Aranthia. His strong arms and keen eye had crafted weapons for the greatest warriors of the realm. Despite his success,
please like the video to reach another person like you who wants to learn English, and subscribe and click on bell icon to do not miss the latest uploaded video notifications.
One crisp autumn morning, as Arinder hammered the final touches on a gleaming sword, a strange traveler entered his shop. The man was cloaked in shadows, his face obscured by a hood. He spoke in a voice that was both commanding and mysterious. "Are you the one they call Arinder, the master blacksmith?" the traveler asked. Arinder nodded, setting aside his hammer. "I am. What can I do for you, stranger?" The traveler reached into his cloak and produced a rolled parchment, sealed with a symbol Arinder had never seen before. It was an intricate design, depicting a dragon entwined with a tree. "This is no ordinary commission," the traveler said, handing the parchment to Arinder. "It is a call to adventure, one that will take you far beyond the walls of Aranthia. If you accept, you will be part of something greater than yourself, something that could change the fate of Eldoria." Arinder's heart raced as he broke the seal and unrolled the parchment. It was a map, ancient and weathered, marked with a path that led to the forgotten kingdom of Dracoria, a place lost to legend, where it was said that untold riches and powerful artifacts lay hidden, guarded by creatures of myth. But the map was incomplete. Pieces were missing, torn away or obscured by time. At the bottom of the parchment, a single word was scrawled: seek. Arinder looked up at the traveler, his curiosity piqued. "What do you want from me?" "To join a quest," the traveler replied. "You are not the first to be called, nor will you be the last. There are others, each chosen for their unique talents. Together, you will seek out the lost kingdom and uncover its secrets. The road will be perilous, filled with dangers that few have survived. But the rewards, should you succeed, will be beyond your wildest dreams." Arinder's mind raced. This was the chance he had been waiting for, a chance to leave behind the life he knew and embark on a journey that could define his destiny. He glanced back at the forge, the fire flickering as if in anticipation of his decision. "I accept," Arinder said, his voice steady. The traveler nodded approvingly. "Good. Gather your belongings and meet me at the eastern gate of Aranthia at dawn. There we will begin the journey." With that, the traveler turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Arinder alone with the map and the thrill of what lay ahead. Chapter 2: The Gathering of Heroes. As the first light of dawn touched the city, Arinder stood at the eastern gate, his pack slung over his shoulder, the map tucked safely inside. He was joined by a diverse group of individuals, each with an air of mystery and purpose. First was Alara, a skilled archer from the northern forests, her eyes as sharp as the arrows in her quiver. Beside her stood Corin, a towering warrior clad in gleaming armor, his massive sword resting on his back. Then there was Lyra, a sorceress with flowing robes and an aura of magic that crackled around her fingers. Lastly, a rogue named Kale, with a mischievous grin and a knack for slipping into places unseen. The traveler, now revealed as the leader of the group, introduced himself as Seraphis. His true identity remained a mystery, but his knowledge of the ancient world and the map was undeniable. "Our journey will take us across the continent," Seraphis explained as they set out. "Through forests and deserts, over mountains and rivers, until we reach the place where Dracoria once stood. But be warned, the path is fraught with danger, and not all who embark on this quest will survive." Despite the warning, the group pressed on, each driven by their own reasons for seeking the lost kingdom. As days turned to weeks, they encountered trials that tested their strength and resolve. In the shadowy depths of the Whispering Woods, they battled against the treacherous Blackthorn Elves, a reclusive tribe known for their deadly ambushes. With Elara's precise aim and Corrin's unyielding strength, they emerged victorious, but not without cost. Wounds were tended, and bonds between the group grew stronger. As they crossed the scorching sands of the endless desert, they faced the relentless assault of sand wraiths, creatures born of the desert's cursed winds. Lyra's magic proved invaluable as she conjured barriers of shimmering light to protect the group, while Kale's agility allowed him to strike swiftly at the wraiths' vulnerable points. Finally, after many trials, they reached the base of the towering Dracorian mountains, where the map indicated the entrance to the Lost Kingdom lay hidden. The path was treacherous, the air thin and cold. Yet, with determination and teamwork, they ascended the rocky slopes. Chapter 3: The Secrets of Dracoria. At the summit, they found a massive stone gate, adorned with carvings of dragons and ancient runes. Seraphis stepped forward, his voice echoing through the mountains as he spoke the words inscribed on the map. The gate trembled, then slowly began to open, revealing a dark tun. With torches in hand, the group ventured inside. The air was heavy with the weight of ages past, and the walls were lined with the bones of those who had come before them. But Arinder felt a strange sense of purpose, as if he was meant to be here. As they delved deeper, they encountered remnants of the once great kingdom. Ruined halls filled with faded tapestries, grand libraries with crumbling books, and armories holding weapons that had long since rusted. Yet, amid the decay, they found signs of the kingdom's former glory, golden statues, jeweled crowns, and ancient tomes of magic. But the most valuable discovery was in the throne room, where they found the lost crown of Dracoria. It was a relic of immense power, said to grant its wearer the ability to command the dragons that once roamed Eldoria. However, the crown was guarded by the last of the Dracorian dragons, a colossal beast with scales as black as night and eyes that burned with fiery intensity. The dragon, awakened by their presence, roared with fury, sending tremors through the mountain. The group prepared for battle, but Seraphis held up a hand. "This is not a foe to be fought with swords or arrows," he said. "The dragon is bound to the crown, and it will only yield to one who is worthy." With those words, Arinder stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He had come this far, faced countless dangers, and now he stood before the greatest challenge of all. But he remembered the words of the traveler, the words that had called him to this adventure. Arinder approached the dragon, his eyes locked with the creature's. He spoke, not with words, but with his heart, conveying his respect for the ancient beast and his desire to restore the lost kingdom. For a moment, the dragon seemed to consider him, its fiery eyes narrowing. Then, with a mighty roar, the dragon lowered its head, allowing Arinder to place the crown upon it. The moment he did, a surge of power flowed through him, and the dragon roared once more, not in fury, but in triumph. The ancient magic of Dracoria had been restored, and with it, the bond between man and dragon. Arinder knew that his journey was far from over, but he also knew that he had been chosen for a purpose greater than he had ever imagined. Chapter 4: The Return of the Kingdom. With the crown in hand, the group made their way back to the surface, where they were greeted by the rising sun. But as they descended the mountains, they noticed something extraordinary. Where there had once been desolation, life had begun to return. The barren lands around the mountain were now lush with greenery, rivers flowed where there had been dry beds, and the air was filled with the songs of birds. Word of their success spread quickly, and soon people from all corners of Eldoria came to see the rebirth of Dracoria. With Seraphis as their guide, Arinder and his companions led the effort to rebuild the kingdom. The ruins were restored, the lost treasures were claimed, and the dragons that had long been in hiding returned to their rightful place. But even as they celebrated their victory, Arinder knew that the true test was yet to come. The crown, with its immense power, was both a blessing and a curse. Many would seek it, driven by greed or ambition, and the peace they had fought for would be fragile. And so, Arinder made a vow. He would protect the crown, not as a king, but as a guardian. He would ensure that the power of Dracoria was used for the good of all, and that the kingdom would stand as a beacon of hope and unity in a world that had long been divided. With his companions by his side, Arinder set out on a new journey, not to conquer, but to protect. For he had learned that true strength was not in power or wealth, but in the bonds of friendship, the courage to face the unknown, and the wisdom to use one's gifts for the greater good. And so, the Chronicles of Eldoria continued, with Arinder and his companions at the heart of a new era, one where the lost kingdom of Dracoria had been found, and where the light of hope shone brighter than ever. Chapter 5, The Shadow of the Past. But peace was not destined to last forever. As the years passed, whispers of a new threat began to spread across Eldoria. From the distant lands of the Shadowlands, a dark sorcerer known only as Malachar had risen to power. He had learned of the crown of Dracoria and sought to claim its power for himself. Malachar was a master of dark magic, his powers fueled by the suffering and fear of others. He raised an army of shadowy creatures, twisted beings born from nightmares, and began his march toward Dracoria. His goal was simple: to conquer Eldoria and rule over it with an iron fist. Arinder, now a seasoned warrior and leader, knew that the time had come to face this new enemy. The kingdom had grown strong, but Malachar's forces were unlike any they had encountered before. The shadow creatures were nearly indestructible, and their number seemed endless. The people of Dracoria looked to Arinder for guidance, and he did not waver. He called upon his old companions, Ilara, Corin, Lyra, and Kale, and together, they prepared for the coming storm. They knew that this battle would determine the fate of not just Dracoria, but all of Eldoria. As Malachar's forces drew closer, Arinder and his companions set out on a final quest. They sought the remaining pieces of the map, hoping to find the one thing that could stand against Malachar's dark magic, the legendary Blade of Light, a weapon forged in the dawn of time, said to be the only thing capable of vanquishing the darkness. Their journey took them to the farthest reaches of Eldoria, through forgotten temples and ancient ruins, where they faced trials that tested their limits. Along the way, they uncovered the true history of Dracoria, learning that the kingdom had once been a beacon of light in a world plagued by darkness. But Malachar was relentless. He unleashed his full power, and the land began to wither under his influence. Towns were consumed by shadow, and despair spread like a plague. Arinder knew that time was running out. Chapter 6, The Final Battle. Finally, after many trials, they found the Blade of Light, hidden within the heart of an ancient volcano. It was a weapon of unparalleled beauty and power, glowing with a light that could pierce even the darkest shadows. But the blade came with a price. It could only be wielded by one who was pure of heart, one who was willing to sacrifice everything for the good of the world. Arinder took up the blade, feeling its power coursing through him. He knew that this was his destiny, the final test of all he had learned. With the blade in hand, he led his companions back to Dracoria, where Malachar had already begun his assault on the kingdom. The battle that followed was fierce and unrelenting. Malachar's forces clashed with the defenders of Dracoria, and the sky was filled with the sounds of battle. Arinder and Malachar faced each other in a duel that shook the very foundations of the earth. Malachar's dark magic was powerful, but the Blade of Light was stronger. With each strike, Arinder pushed the sorcerer back, until finally, with a final, mighty blow, he pierced Malachar's heart, shattering the darkness that had consumed him. The shadow creatures dissolved into nothingness, and the land was bathed in the warm light of the sun. Malachar was defeated, but the victory came at a cost. Arinder, having given everything to wield the blade, fell to his knees, the power of the weapon too great for any mortal to bear. His companions rushed to his side, but Arinder knew that his time had come. He had fulfilled his destiny, and now it was time for a new generation to carry on the legacy of Dracoria. With his final breath, Arinder entrusted the crown and the blade to his companions, urging them to use their power wisely. He smiled, knowing that the kingdom he had helped restore would endure, and that the light of hope would continue to shine. And so, Arinder, the blacksmith who had become a hero, passed into legend, his story remembered for generations to come. Epilogue: The Legacy of Eldoria. Years passed, and the kingdom of Dracoria flourished under the guidance of Arinder's companions. They became the new protectors of the realm, ensuring that the power of the crown and the blade was never misused. The story of their journey was told and retold, inspiring countless others to seek out their own adventures. Eldoria entered a new era of peace and prosperity, the shadow of Malachar a distant memory. The bond between man and dragon was stronger than ever, and the light of Dracoria shone brightly across the land. But even as the years went by, the legend of Arinder lived on. His name was spoken with reverence, his deeds remembered in song and story. He had been a man of humble origins, but through courage, wisdom, and sacrifice, he had become a hero. And so, the Chronicles of Eldoria came to a close, with the knowledge that the light of hope would always endure, no matter how dark the world might become. For as long as there were those who were willing to stand against the darkness, the legacy of Arinder and the lost kingdom of Dracoria would never be forgotten.